Welcome to the first episode of Bag It or Slab It. The Comics Cube presents a fine gathering of like minded comic geek individuals who will every week discuss with you some of the finer comics that are out there, some of the not so finer comics out there. We will endeavor to tell you what you should throw in a bag and a board, what you should think about slabbing, what you should think about missing, and what you should think about trashing. So if you have any comments, make sure that you're leaving them below. My name is Sean Hilton. I am the owner of Comics Cubed, a long-standing comic book store. I am joined today by my good friend Edward Gibson and my buddy Nick.
I have to get you a stand.
Yeah, that'll probably work out a lot better.
The BCW box didn't hold.
All right, guys. We've got books. Let's talk about it. Let's knock out 30 to 45 minutes of comic goodness for all these people checking it out. Again, if you've got something that you want us to read, acknowledge, review, just leave it in the comments below and we will get to it for you. Lead it off there, Ed. What do we got, buddy?
All right. Well, I think we're going to talk about some of the books that came out this last week.
Right? I read some of those.
I think we all read a number of those, kind of dive into some of the things that came out there. Some things that stood out for me, West of Sundown was a nice new #1. And then I think another one that we're going to talk about, Nick might have quite a bit to say, is Alice Ever After.
Alice Ever After, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we want to take a look at that there. And let's take a look at the Alice Ever After here.
So is that full list? So this is what you got to read?
Yeah, and I was gonna say this is a bit of what I got to read here this week. X-Men Red, X-Force, Marauders, Black Widow, but Alice Ever After, West of Sundown, Wonder Woman has stored 2 really great books. Clearly I spend a lot of money at Marvel's table, and and then occasionally dip my toes in other places. So
good ad.
Yeah, Marvel's got my money. So
I hear so much about them being in trouble, yet Ed himself is just trying to self-fund them all.
I was gonna say, I think I'm keeping the mouse in comfy slippers as much as possible here.
Excellent.
So
all right, so just so everybody knows, we're going to be showcasing this on our Facebook page and over on YouTube. If we eventually get 100 people to like, subscribe, do all that kind of nonsense, we are going to give away a 1 in 25 Sandman Universe Presents Nightmare Country. Bag boarded. We're going to ship it anywhere in the United States of America it can go. So something to consider as you're watching. Invite all your friends, tell your homies, and we're going to give that away to somebody as soon as we get to 100 views locked in somewhere. I don't really care where it happens, just somewhere.
Well, does it matter if they add together to 100?
I mean, we'll figure out math. There'll be an abacus involved. It'll work. So, Ed, what's your first book? What are we diving into? What are we going to review first?
If I'm diving in, I'll let Nick take care of Alice, but I want to jump to X-Men Red.
Well, let's jump into that new X-Men book. It's not like they haven't had plenty of X books to choose from.
So, relatively new book, new team.
Yeah, I mean, quite a bit there. If we want to take a look, I think on our. Yeah, let's flip to we've got an X-Men Red panel there. But brand new last week from Al Ewing and Stefano Caselli. Basically, it's replacing Sword, and you've got a number of X-Men on Mars, coming together. And yeah, there's Nick's pull list.
Well,
Next one over. There we go.
I thought you were taking care of all the slides for us, buddy. But okay, there we go. I'll do that.
Well, like I told you, I don't have access to do that.
Oh, well, all right.
That's what we talked
Next
about.
time we should number those. All right, so X-Men Red.
So
out this last week for Marvel.
Yeah, I thought it was a great start with the X-Men on Mars, kind of forming up their new team. That's not exactly what they'd call the X-Men, but I thought we got a great moment with Thunderbird that I've been waiting 50 years for at this point in time.
So your great moment that you've waited 50 years for, even though you're not 50 years old, was
right.
Him getting drunk at a bar and starting a fight. That was your great moment.
I don't think Thunderbird was drunk, but I think he stepped in to address somebody who was. He stepped in to address Vulcan because he basically saw there's somebody from the Summers family I owe them a lot of payback. And then he runs into Cable and decides to go, there's another one from the Summers family. Here we go. I'm
They
hoping to see
definitely
more
breed. The
Thunderbird.
Summers breed pretty quickly, it seems.
Yeah, they're very
They do.
prolific family. I didn't realize that you hated the Summers family so much, Ed, that you really thought they had payback coming.
I don't hate them, but every now and again I miss the Wolverine Cyclops animosity, and here we go. We've got it right back with Thunderbird being back in, ready to be. Oh, you're Scott's brother, you're Scott's son. Yeah, I didn't like him, before I died. I don't like him now that I'm alive again. So, thought there was some great art throughout. I know you guys said you were, a little thrown on some of the things there. The Magneto scenes maybe didn't hit as hard.
So
with
yeah,
him and the Fish King.
Fish King, he's my favorite. That was the standout character for me in this one. But yeah, I read it this week. I think Sean and you suggested it, so it was number one, so I picked it up. When did Hickman leave the X titles?
It wasn't so much he left as he was shown a door.
He
and Hickman, pursue other avenues.
He finished up with Inferno in December or January, and then they jumped immediately and that was pretty much his final piece. He was done. But from what I've heard, it was his second big act when he had 3 big acts planned, and Marvel wasn't going to let him do the rest of it.
Huh.
So
I read it, and jumping on point, there's a lot of stuff that I actually had to look up because I haven't been reading and keeping up with what's going on in the Krakoa X-Men and Hickman X-Men world. So I was a little confused and behind with what was going on. I was like, cool, we terraformed Mars. I was like, didn't know who the Ring Council, who they were. So I had to look some stuff up to really kind of familiarize myself with it. I kind of liked the starting out at the disco and the bar fight, the Fisher King, but having not kept up with it, it didn't grab me as much. I think if you were wanting to get in on what is going on in the X-Men world, it definitely is leading off. But even on that, for being a number one, there still seems to be a lot of callbacks and to things that happened. I had to ask you, it was what happened with Magneto? Why is Magneto, hanging out with the Fisher King? Why are they? When are they going to get their spinoff buddy?
Who wouldn't want to hang out with the Fisher King all alone on Mars, on his little continent that anybody can get to, by the way?
It's Mars. So at first I'm like, where the hell is he even fishing at? But they re-terraformed it all. So
yep.
All right, I give him a break on that. I also I read it. I was looking forward to it. New team, new jump on point. The unfortunate thing that Marvel did was they relaunched or revitalized several books in the last couple of weeks. They canceled / restarted a lot of their X-Men line, and they didn't bother to have a 0-issue primer of some sort to catch up fans on all of this stuff. So I own a comic book store. I read comics all the time, and even I'm like, what is going on in this book? There is no good jumping into it. You either know it or you're befuddled. Yeah. And as you read it, it does not become more clear as the story's going on. You get interesting characterization and interesting character bits that are intriguing and will definitely bring someone in. But honestly, if you're not already an X-Men fan, I just don't know how you get all the way through this and have really enjoyed it, because there's just so many. Why is Roberto / Sunspot starting a discotheque on Mars? Why is Storm the matriarch of Mars? Why is Magneto exiled to? I mean, there's a lot, and there's the Summers. And if you haven't read X-Men before, you don't even know that Vulcan is in. So,
I mean, if I knew that, I had forgotten that Vulcan was a Summers.
Your last really good X-Men jump on point was at this point in time almost 3 years ago when they did the whole Hickman run, and now you're 3 years into it, where, like you said, Nick, if you're going, I've not been reading it, what do you mean these people, like I said, Thunderbird's alive again, a guy who's been dead for 50 years, and not that this doesn't happen in comics, but now the X-Men can die on page 1, and by page 7 they're alive again. That's just a part of this new reality that they're in. So There's definitely some issues with it. I agree, Sean. Maybe like an X-Men primer would have been a nice kind of.
I mean, if you're going to restart that many books, because you're getting Marauders restarted, you're getting X-Men Unlimited coming back, you're getting X-Men Red, you're getting Immortal X-Men, and now you're telling me that the regular X-Men title is after, 10, 11 issues, is about to get a new team as well. I mean, they're already going to do this gala thing you're talking about. They should have probably used that now to jumpstart this primer to just let people come in with a sense of what's going on and whatnot. So it was still a good read. The art I was really happy with. The characterizations that were there and the characters they had could form an interesting team. But again, we just needed a little bit more explanation, I thought.
Yeah, my only other piece to it was, I think what when we talked to it before, Ed, that you alluded to is I don't know if they're forming the X-Men team with this.
I
think
they're the last page reveal is we're not X-Men.
Yeah,
we're something else.
So
and I think
is there going to be another book? Because this really didn't focus then on.
No, I think what you're going to get is just the fact, and we've talked about this before. This was Sword. This was the whole like space, X-Men. Like we're watching for aliens. We're dealing with Mars. The reality is, a book called Sword at Marvel doesn't sell for more than, I think it went, Sean, 11 issues maybe if we're lucky.
Yeah.
But you throw the title X-Men on there, and maybe that'll go 20 issues.
Sure.
But yeah, they're very much not going to be the X-Men according to Storm.
Yeah.
My over-under right now is this goes less than 30 issues. If it goes more than 30 issues with what we're looking at with the whole Mars theme, I'm going to be a little surprised. So we shall see.
I give it about 12 to 13 myself, even I love it, just because I think they're going to be looking to relaunch quite a bit.
All right, let's see who we got in our next slide here. Yep, maybe. Okay. Maybe not.
Nope. Well, there's Nick's pull list.
Except that's
one
great. Book on my pull list. So I mean that, yeah. You
So Nick, you've got Alice Ever After #1.
I did get that. I did pull that. I did pull some other stuff too. So
that's good.
What'd you pull?
Well, I had Spider-Punk, X-Men Red, Marauders, West of Sundown, Oceans Take Us, Little Monsters. I think there's something else I haven't read yet that's upstairs as well. But
okay. And which one are you going to highlight for us?
Well, I mean, we can talk about Spider-Punk, and we get that out of the way.
Well, you're going to get to pick one. So what is it you want to tell the world about? Because I was under the impression that Spider-Punk was not, in fact, what you wanted to tell the world about.
No. I mean, Nightmare Country or Alice. I mean, I liked both those books.
Well, you're a big Alice in Wonderland fan, so let's get your take on Alice here.
Okay. One of the questions I had, because I had actually reached out to you to request you to get this book in, because I saw it and I was interested in it. Zenescope years ago did a Alice and then Return to Wonderland books, which had kind of just an interesting, like, looking into like dark, crazy. It was very darker side of Alice. And I think this is very similar to that. Issue 1, we don't really get the full, I think, story of what is happening going on there. But there's a Alice slide on that. But so Alice Wonderland takes place like a Victorian setting. And you find Alice is grown up.
Nope.
Go back the other way. Go back the other way.
But Alice has some problems.
Okay.
You're getting kind of narrated from her two cats. Right there you go. Artwork. I thought the artwork was good in the book. The story setting up with no kind of primer of what to expect. I kind of went in a little blind. I saw it was coming out, and I read just a brief thing of it. So then I just wanted to jump on it and see what their take was. But yeah, getting in there and kind of seeing like Alice grown up, and her life has not gone great. So, Ed, I was a little surprised when you said you had gotten this. I was like, so what drew you to the book?
Well, the original thing that drew me to the book was Sean threw it in my folder and said, "Hey, I think we're going to talk about this on Bag It or Slab It. So if you want to read it, give it a shot." And I did, and honestly, I got hooked. I mean, it does a nice bait and switch on that first page.
Yes.
Where I honestly thought this was young Alice. Like you're seeing a little blonde girl in a store, and I'm like, okay. I was like, and then when they reveal that this is adult Alice, I was like, okay. I wasn't expecting that. It was neat. The art's gorgeous. Both the artists, like I think the actual writer does like that, the Wonderland scenes. I think he's the one that does kind of like maybe the interludes, and that was just. I mean, the art blew me away the whole time. The cover's probably the best cover of a book I got this week.
I would 100% agree with that. I don't know, Sean, if you had anything that was a better cover that you would say this week, but I thought
they did two covers that we received, and I believe there's even more covers. But the one that we showed on the slide was
I think that's the Frizen cover, the Jenny Frizen.
Yeah.
I thought that really pops. That really jumps.
That's a gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm in.
Other books, like it's a gorgeous cover and the art is actually good on the inside as well.
Right. Yeah.
I
was
that
disappointed
cover sold
to learn,
that book.
I was disappointed to learn it was like a 5-issue mini. I mean, I'm glad it'll kind of be we're gonna get a whole story, but that kind of almost was like, oh, I'm gonna want more of this. I have a feeling I'm going to want more of this book here.
So I think in this one, we get set up, you find out she's grown up. You aren't sure about what Wonderland is. It kind of alludes you one way, but doesn't lock it down. But her family's prestigious family. They're worried about their image, and Alice is not good for their image.
So yeah, I mean, how she's getting into Wonderland is she's extracurricular pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
So what those particular pharmaceuticals are, we don't know.
She takes after the caterpillar.
She is definitely like stealing. She's bringing the name of the family down, and is involved with some pretty rough people. You're getting some surrealist kind of stuff with the cats narrating and them talking to each other and figuring out what's going on. You've got portions of evil family, or at least one of them kind of turning on the other. So there's some depth to it. There is a little twist on what we find interesting about the whole Alice mythos, I think. And then when she's tripping, you get her into Wonderland, and you get to meet some of those characters that are so famous. So
I'm interested to see how that expands as the story progresses, because we only got small glimpses into the Wonderland kind of mytho, like the original Wonderland-esque characters through the Looking Glass, as it kind of built the story. So I'm interested to see how that plays in more as the 5 issues goes. But I am looking forward to it. I think it's a good mini, or it's going to be a good mini series.
Yep.
Interested to see. Sometimes Boom does 5 issues and then stops and then comes back and does like a few more. They kind of do that like AWA does every now and then. So I'm interested to see it. That is definitely one that I'm gonna get all 5. It'll be bagged.
I agree. I'd bag that one.
Yeah, I would too. I think that's one that I would pick up.
I did.
So
Overachieved.
For me, Alice is winning over the X-Men Red. So at least for right now.
For me, I'd say that too. I will say that X-Men book, there was a lot to read there, so I felt like you got your money's worth.
Yes, but some of that was just due to pure what the hell's going onism. So why
well,
is
you've got those data? You still have data pages.
So, man, yeah, I don't know about that. All right. Well, that leads us into Sandman Presents the Nightmare Country, which is not Vertigo, but is a new book from Black Label. Because when you have one of the most prestigious monikers out there in the Vertigo line, one that spent years building up a rabid and very loyal audience, you know what you should do? You should scrub that and creates this whole new thing that encompasses the entire DC universe and call it Black Label. So this is interesting because it is curated by Neil Gaiman. It's not written by Neil,
Yeah.
but he's you know credited as the curator. But we also get James Tynion in to do the writing, and his run on Batman was pretty substantial and well liked. So this is his first chance to do something in the Sandman universe, and it kicks off with the Corinthian character, the guy with crazy eyeballs of teeth, nightmares, and things of that nature. So if you're already ingrained in the Sandman universe, you're going to have an idea of what this character is about. If you're not ingrained in the Sandman universe, by the time you're done reading, the book does, James Tynion does a good enough job to you're up a little bit that this guy's not a happy-go-lucky kind of character. He's definitely not one of the more fun aspects of Neil Gaiman's earlier creations. That said, the book itself is it's a pretty long read. It's definitely got some length to it. There's a little bit of everything going on. It's man,
It earned its Black Label.
I was about to say the exact same thing. It earned that Black Label.
Yeah, it's
imprint.
like a PG-13 plus. You know, there's one or two scenes where you're like, "Ooh, that mom and dad aren't going to be happy if I sell that to their 8-year-old."
There's nudity, so I'd go with that's probably hits the number.
I was gonna say that might be your R rating. So
it'd be a soft R, but I could see a soft R there. It's definitely Cinemax about 9 o'clock, but definitely not like midnight or something like that.
Well, I
think if you're into the Sandman universe and these characters and you haven't had your fill in a while, then you're going to be able to get back into it and probably enjoy it. However, if you're not a big Sandman universe fan, then I don't know that this is going to keep your attention.
I enjoyed it. I don't know what Ed thought about it, but yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I like the Sandman universe. If you're going into it looking for more focus on the Sandman, you don't get that at all in this. Like, I think he's in one page, I think, because it is definitely focused on the Corinthian.
I don't even think he does anything. I think you see him in a panel.
Yeah, I think it's just the Corinthians flashback.
Yeah.
To like creation, I think. But yeah, I enjoyed the story. Yeah, creepy cover. The Corinthian is just a creepy character all around. He is like the nightmare boogeyman, which is what he is.
I mean, he is an aspect of nightmare.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, and it does a really good job. If you're unfamiliar with him, unlike I think X-Men, I understand who this character is by not even all the way by the end of the book. I understand who this character is by about a quarter of the way through the book. There's been enough to kind of built up. I will say the very first, there was an image in there where I was slightly confused with a party image. My mind snapped and I thought Clayface was in it.
Yes.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. For a second, I was like, wait, what? Well, I mean, it's all It's Vertigo. Well, Black Label, I guess now. So it could be, but I was just unprepared for that when I saw that. My brain just went for whatever reason to Batman, Clayface, all that kind of stuff. But I enjoyed the read. I enjoyed the art. It is very much that kind of watercolor, Sandman-y art style that I think Neil Gaiman likes. I'm curious how much he had. I know he's the curator, but I'm curious how much input he had.
Direct involvement.
Yeah.
I want to know. Like, did he approve stories? Did he get a look at it? Did they have to did they have to run anything by him?
Yeah. Like, did it take like 16 rewrites to get this story done? Because Neil Gaiman kept saying no. So I'm a little curious on that aspect. Because it definitely has that kind of that feel. But you can definitely tell it's not his full writing.
Coming at it from somebody who, you mentioned, if you're not familiar with Sandman, it kind of gives you a basic primer, and that was me. This was the first of Sandman of anything I've read. So, I knew I had rough ideas, bits and pieces of all of it, but it was very much, I had to kind of, especially what you were talking about, Nick, when he does his flashbacks and he's recalling like his kind of own origin and everything. that's where I thought, all right, this must be a bit more what the original universe was like compared to what we're getting here. I had a lot of questions coming away from it. I think it's what is it, Mr. Agony and Mr. Ecstasy.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were brand new. I didn't know if they were like pre-existing characters. I was like, okay, but it has that horror vibe to it when you see them. Like, all right, this is, because I guess part of me too was, are these people like actually interacting? Is this like we're only seeing them at times of extreme stress, or in the dreaming kind of thing like that? But I thought it was an enjoyable read. Definitely that the Corinthian is creepy. He's creepy as all get out. And that thing you were talking about, the Clayface-esque thing, that might have been even creepier. That might have been when I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I want to turn the next page and find out. But I thought the art, as you said, that kind of painted art it was gorgeous throughout.
When I read it, I had to watch it. My girls started playing in the room while I was reading it. I was like, we'll just close this for a minute because I don't know what's happening on the next page. But
I would say if you're a big Sandman fan, this isn't the intro that I would want to put in someone's hands.
No,
if this is your first experience, I don't think this is the experience for you. And that's saying something for everybody. However, if you're into a creepy horror book and can get into that, then I think it's a perfect jump on, because the actual Sandman part really is so limited, other than Corinthian is a creation of Nightmare, which is the aspect that Morpheus kind of he deals with. But if you just wanted a creepy horror book or a little supernatural feel, then I don't know that you can go wrong with this book. So even if you don't know anything about the regular Sandman universe, I think you could check out of the Sandman universe. You can check out the Neil Gaiman universe, and you can check into that's some creepy stuff going on. And there's a guy with eyeballs that are made of teeth that are eating people's fingers. So that's just
creepy.
That's just funky.
Yeah, the nightmare that the old man had, and like his whole thing, like that.
Yeah.
That took a while to like force out of my mind there for a bit. So
yeah, it was like, I don't think you need to know that. If you want a good, I think what's going to be a horror book, I think this is a good one for that.
All right, well, let's take a quick look at everybody's pull list except for Nick's, because it only has Alice on it. And so Ed, let's see if I can find your list.
All right, I should be the slide 3 there.
Slide 3. All right, we are going to add that to the stream. So on this list, Ed, which books would you bag? Which book would you slab? And which book would you just leave on the shelf or throw in the trash?
Everything on there, I think everything that I put on my pull list, I'm bagging. If I had to pick something to slab from that, I'm going to go with that Historia Amazons #2. You want to talk stunningly gorgeous art. That thing was just a book that I wish you didn't have text over. I almost wish that it was like a full-size poster book, like it didn't have a spine where I could just see each page laid out. I mean, Gene Hod does some amazing interiors on that, especially when he's using the designs of the Greek gods, that whether it was he that came up with them or Phil Jimenez from the first issue, I don't know if it was collaborative, but the way they've designed some of those Greek gods are just mind-blowing.
It was the Greeks. The Greeks did it.
Yeah, well, yes, but and I'm looking forward to book 3, and I think don't quote me, but I think Nicholas Scott's going to do the art on book 3, because at the end of this one, those 3 artists that I mentioned and the writer Kelly Sue DeConnick all gave like a big thanks to George Perez for all of his Wonder Woman work over the years as like some inspiration for this. So my interpretation is Nicholas Scott must be an artist on book 3. So that's probably where I give my slab it to of all those books.
Okay, I think you just want to force CGC or whichever group to have to slab this giant magazine-sized, oversized Black Label book, because it's big. That is not a short book.
And it's another one that's
Black Label.
It earns its Black Label. I think almost all of those oversized DC books are Black Label at this point. I don't know that there's one.
Yeah, I think so. The Rogues is, the Suicide Squad is Black Label. So yeah. All right, let's my list here. We'll see if we can add that to the stream. X-Men Red, for me, it's a leave it on the shelf, but I could see bagging it. Marauders, I could see bagging. Flashpoint Beyond #1's coming out next week. That's the new DC. It's Jeff Johns, so I'm gonna have to bag it. The Ocean Will Take Us. I think is that Boom?
That was Aftershock.
Aftershock. I enjoyed the read. It's a little odd, and I don't know that everybody's going to appeal to it. I'd bag it. Alice, I would bag. Little Monsters #2. It's Slab. Absolutely. We didn't talk about that one, but only because it came out, I think, a week or two ago. But absolutely, Little Monsters is my Slab book. If you're not reading it, go out there and check it out. Batgirls is a bag. Strange is a bag. Nottingham for me is a pass. Rogue Sun is a bag right now. I read X-Men 92 #1. That's going to come out this Wednesday. So we'll talk about it a little bit next week, but I did get a chance to read it. That's a bag. Spider-Punk is a trash. Batman Beyond is a bag. X-Men Unlimited, out of all the X books I read, that was my favorite. That's a bag. Okay. Earth Prime Batwoman is the one that's a little strange. If you're a CW fan, if you're watching the CW TV shows, that's a slab. It's not even a bag. It's got so much in it. There's literally a panel saying this takes place between season 3, episode 4 and 5, and then there's a note. Later on in the book, there's this takes place between this episode. So it is all about the CW universe. So if you're a CW fan and you're watching those shows, this is those shows in a comic book format. So you're also getting a higher, a rate there because they do Clayface in this episode as the crazy looking thing from Sandman Universe, basically. So, all right, see, there you go. So Jeremy Mundy didn't dig it, but I would also say he says he hasn't seen the show. If you've seen the show and you're invested in it, it's an absolute must. And I'm under the impression this whole thing is going to follow Batwoman, and that's going to lead into other CW shows. So I think that's the big takeaway here is as just a traditional comic reader who's no longer watching those CW shows, I had no clue about, this character and that character. But having watched CW shows, I saw in the comic some of the tropes that are going on. So good stuff. But yeah, out of that, as I said, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, and we will be talking about it in the future. Little Monsters, for sure, hands down, that's my book. And out of that, I would say my worst book of the week was Spider-Punk #1. Yeah. That was an absolute it wasn't my thing. I didn't enjoy it.
If we were not doing this show, I would not have read it. And that's where I'll leave Spider-Punk.
Yeah, you're like, hey, read this. I want to talk about it. And I was like, okay. I read it. I don't know how much they've done with Spider-Punk in the past because I guess I've never read any of the. I know he's a suit you can unlock in the video games.
He showed up in the Spider-Verse crossover that Dan Slott did, 5-7 years ago? And I think this is the first time we've seen him since. I mean, I've not read the Spider-Gwen and the Miles stuff, but I think this is the first time we've seen him since that.
He's definitely from his own universe because you also see Captain Anarchy. You see the Riri version. Now, in that essence, this might be, as far as I know, the first appearance of a ton of characters. There's just characters that I don't give a shit about.
Well, so
Craven and the Hunters.
Craven
and the Hunters.
Yeah, it's the first appearance of Craven and the Hunters. And so it's the first appearance of a whole bunch of characters from an alternate universe that are all after our characters that we know in the regular Marvel universe. But I got to say, just didn't blow me away.
I also didn't get Punk from it a whole lot. Like I know like somebody mentioned offhandedly to somebody something about the punk movement, and then he kind of loosely heard it and then was like, oh, I'm gonna make a comic book about Spider-Man being a punk.
Yeah. Definitely. It definitely felt like, and I would feel bad if we're talking trash about somebody that's living the whole 2022 version of the punk scene, but this read like the 40-year-old dude who Googled some stuff, watched a couple of YouTube videos, and then put it out there. Now, if that's not the case, my apologies, but I'm telling you, as somebody who's not in that scene, that's kind of what it felt like, was just Captain Anarchy. I mean, that just seems like some low-lying fruit to go with.
Yeah.
So it did sound like. So are we agreed? I think we're in agreement that Spider-Punk #1 is our failure book of the week. Our no
I think so.
prize, but not in the good way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that going very many.
I don't see us
It's not going
reviewing
very
issue
many
2.
with me.
I don't see us reviewing book 2. Is that what,
No,
I don't either.
I do not see us reviewing book 2.
All right, Nick, what is your book of the week? What is it out of the stuff you read that people definitely should be checking out? If you got to put one book in their hands.
For me, I'd say Sandman. If I'm more partial to that kind of horror book and the Sandman universe, so I'd go with the Corinthian, the Nightmare Country.
Ed?
I'm gonna go with. I know I'm the outlier. I'll go with the X-Men Red probably.
Okay.
I thought that was. I mean, just being the X-Men fan that I am,
Sure.
obviously, that was the
Hoist that
best
flag.
X book. So
You
that was
got
the best
X-Men
X book this
92
week.
coming up. We'll definitely have X-Men 92 for the next one. I'm eager to talk about it.
If that's not already in my folder,
so
I need that in my folder.
That's the next book. And then my book that again we didn't talk about it and we're sold out of it. Little Monsters. Comics Cubed is my store. We have #1 first prints coming in. We have #2 first prints coming in. If you don't already own this book and you like a horror book, then you've got to check this out. It is so good. I don't want to oversell it. So when people read it, go, yeah, that's okay. But I got to admit, I went into it with that. I don't know anything about it. I don't care about it. I'm reading a #1 for my store to talk to customers about it. And then walked away going, damn, that was pretty good. #2's out. Well, #2's never as good, but we'll go into it. Damn, #2 was better. And then the final page of #2 is like, I can't wait for #3 now. So the art on this is just great. So there you go. All right, before we end this first episode of Bag It or Slab It, we're going to break down one more question to ease out some of the sour grapes of Spider-Punk. So, guys, if you were able to have in the real world one super pet from Marvel, DC, or whatever universe it could be, your choice, any pet you could ever think of, which one would you want to be your pet? We're gonna hit up my buddy Ed there first.
Well, I think you know my answer. That answer is not going to change. There he goes. As much as I want to say Jeff the Land Shark, I'm going with Lockheed. There is no doubt in my mind. I want a dragon that's gonna, and he's a real dragon. He's full on dragon. He's gonna be right there by my side. He's gonna be on my shoulder. He's gonna be flying around. I would love a little shark puppy. Jeff the Land Shark is close, but Lockheed is absolutely #1.
If you like that, there is a Netflix kids show called Dog Shark.
Dog Shark. Okay, I may need to watch that.
I think you dig it. All right, let's see if this will work. We are going to go to that, then do this, and yeah, maybe we're not. Let's see here. There we go. Nick, what do you got? One pet.
On the spot, I'd probably have to go. I don't even know how you say Thor's goats.
Okay.
Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder.
Yeah.
Just because you want someone to do your lawn?
Yeah. I don't know. I always liked Thor's goat, riding on those little riding on his little goat. I don't know. I always liked baby goats because they'll do my lawn. So.
All right. Goats it is. And then, all right. So I got to go with Lockjaw because I'm lazy and I want to travel. So, hey, puppy, we're going to Disney World today for lunch because, well, we can. The only downside I see is just having a giant dog. But it turns out I can get somebody to make a giant vest, and now he's my companion animal. So, Lockjaw, my teleporting, support animal is, we're going to go, hey, it's time to go to Australia.
Where I was gonna say, where do you need him to be a support animal? Not on a plane, because you're gonna teleport with Lockjaw. Like that's
Well, the
what I'm
point is
thinking.
once we get there, I can't just say, "Hey, Lockjaw, go away and come pick me up in 15 minutes." I want my giant dog to hang out with me. And when we walk into the supermarket in Spain, somebody's like, "Oh, sir, you can't bring your giant dog in here." And I'm like, "Oh, well, he's got a vest, so he's my support
Okay.
animal, and he's coming on in." And heaven forbid we walk into an all-you-can-eat buffet because Lockjaw's about to put you out of business. So there you go. All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out. This is the first episode of our Bag It or Slab It. If we can get 100 people to eventually check out our video, we are going to give away a Sandman 1 in 25 Sandman Presents. We've got it bagged and boarded right here in our store at Comics Cube, the host of this fine program. Comics Cube, a real brick and mortar store located in the beautiful heart of downtown Kokomo, one of the crown jewels of Geek Street. If you ever see anything on the show that you would like, we will happily mail it anywhere in the world that the USPS will go, as long as you pay us to send it to you. So, on behalf of myself and my good friends Nick and Ed, we will catch you hopefully next Monday at around 8:30 to check out what you should bag, what you should slab, and what you should throw in the trash. Be groovy, everybody.